we go. Let me add some more people in. So how is everybody today?
Good.
Good.
Good. So I see Laura and Eve, Elena and Douglas and Scott and Ray and Wendy and Carlos and Ann. Did I miss anybody? So we're recording, and Robert, we're recording this so that you can always watch it. But I really appreciate y'all showing up because it helps with interaction. And I'll say that I know last month I think it was that Douglas, you mentioned that it's important on pricing to price things, right where they are and not trying to go under and hoping for a bidding war and everything. And then Ray and I were talking about that with his new listing coming up. Any more thoughts on that so far, Douglas, that you're seeing, and then anyone else? But Douglas, you still feel the same way?
I think there's outlier properties that you can, and I'm seeing a few that they're still pricing maybe 10% under, but as a rule of thumb, and maybe those are the A-class properties that are perfect in every way, shape, and form, but even good properties. I mean, we're hearing it from people. I was at an open house yesterday in Silver Lake in an upcoming area below Sunset, and otherwise would have done well. Place is beautiful, all complete rebuild, but the agent said just dead, no offers, no one, and it's a great house. But he said in his case, he said, I think it's the people who are expecting this because it's beautiful, it's like an Instagram, they want the whole neighborhood to be the Instagram too. So, before, buyers seemed a little more kind of, I don't want to say on the fence. I think before, buyers are like, God, if I don't get this, there might not be something else that I can get. And I think now the assumption is, well, I'm seeing other stuff out there, I'm just going to wait. And they don't feel like anything's going up that much for them. So if they wait a bit, it's going to go up. Whereas before, it was always like, oh God, if I miss this one, it's going to go up 20 grand. 30 grand for the next place I get.
Yeah. And on top of that, with interest rates making some movements, huh?
Right. And I'll say, Chuck, I have my loft in Hollywood, which great product. I thought we were on at a great price. We literally had no interest. I mean, just a couple of people came in, brokers opens were dead. And then I said to my client, look, if we don't get it into escrow by middle of July, I said, let's pull it and bring it back on after Labor Day. Because I just said, I think the weather's hot. Once you hit the end of July.
Labor Day, I bet. You froze, Douglas.
Oh.
So I'm sure that's what he's going to say, Labor Day. I will say traditionally, I've always seen throughout the years,
right?
Yeah, if right after July 4th, you want to make sure that property gets into escrow, within a week or two or before that fourth weekend. Otherwise, it's traditionally, it's a slower.
Chuck is frozen.
Yeah, Chuck, I think it's you freezing because Douglas didn't freeze on me.
Me neither.
No.
And you're still frozen on your video.
Yeah. You guys, what I was going to say about my El Centro is literally ready to pull it. No interest, no separate phone calls about it. And then I literally got a call from an agent, wanted to bring their client, and he couldn't have been the better client. He lived on the same street up in corporate housing at Sunset, worked at Netflix, and to the pricing point earlier, we went in what we thought was maybe a little high, but my client was willing to come down to like 875. We went at 895 and we closed at 870. We're closing at 875. So, again, but if we had gone in 10% below, expecting to push it above, we had one offer, literally one offer in 2.5 weeks of having it on the market, open houses, everything. So I just think it's, we're in a different period.
Yeah. I got cut out on my Zoom for some reason, but were you going to say, I actually started talking thinking I was still on, it was you, it was frozen. But were you going to say, if it doesn't sell, then you take it off and put it back on after Labor Day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The weather gets hot. Just think people are focused on summer, getting the cool kids back to school, last minute vacations. For me, it's always been that way.
Yes. Yeah. And traditionally, I agree with you. You know, maybe we're back into traditional type stuff. I don't know. But there's just so many things going on. So many, I mean, everybody knows without me saying it, there's just all different directions of things, distractions and focus. And Craig and I were in New York this past weekend, and I thought it was interesting that restaurants, we got into restaurants easily, and there weren't lines to stand in or go for or whatever. And I even got tickets to a show, fairly close to within a week or so. It was just interesting. The airports were really easy, although I think I read that there was a record set on regular travelers for, this month or whatever. And it was just interesting. It's just different, and so, and then of course with the interest rates, changing a little bit, that's going to change some things. And I don't know what, Debbie, what are you seeing in New York? Anything different or same as what he's saying? Or are you feeling any different this summer than another summer?
Well, it depends on what part of New York. Downstate, because I'm in Western New York, downstate, the city, Long Island, they're all experiencing somewhat what you're experiencing, and maybe still a couple of multiple offers. But up here, our market is still experiencing number of multiple offers on every property, going 100,000, 150 over, things like that. I just had a listing of very tiny little ranch home, and it went for 50,000. We had 9 offers and it went for 50,000 over. So I just listed a house today, and we haven't delayed showings till next week. And that house I know is probably going to have 20 offers on it.
Wow.
So we're still experiencing that low inventory. We haven't had over 500 homes on the market in, oh my gosh, I think within the last 2 years. And that services, 1.3 million people.
Yeah, right.
Very low inventory. But downstate, they're experiencing something different.
So yeah, so I mean, real estate always is local, and but I don't know. It's really, I think a lot of things are really interesting. And what about you with your new listing? What are you seeing?
So I have my listing that I have, we had to reduce it. We reduced it 10,000. It's the same as the others. No showings, 2 leads from all of the ads that I've run. 1 person came to my open house that I did on Saturday, which is 1 more than that came to the open house when I had it the first time. So I don't know, it's not good. But then I have another listing that's going live tonight for 1.4. It's an expired that I'm taking. So we'll see how that goes.
And can I ask you, how long have you been on market with that one?
It was the 29th of June.
Okay, and what is the average days on market for you
Well,
guys?
it hadn't been that long, but what I'm seeing from other agents in my area in Virginia, it's now about like 30 days. So before it was only like a week.
Right, and this
again,
is I think what we're dealing with now is we're all in this mindset of what it was.
Right, and it's not that anymore.
It's not that anymore. I had a colleague on my loft one, right before we got the offer. He's like, yeah, we should talk about, maybe you should talk about a price decrease. And I said, it's not the price. I don't believe it's the price. And I think that's why it's so important that we know our markets. And I know, some of us may be slow right now, but it's so important to be out there on, at brokers opens and talk to agents and find out the ones that are working, go and see houses and find out what's going on. Because when you do all of a sudden get a listing, and if you don't know these things, it puts you behind the 8 ball. And I just,
Right.
And I just think about this for myself, because last year I was really quiet. So getting back into it this year is all of a sudden like, oh God, thank God I know this. And thank God I know that. And I picked up another listing because I knew all of this, so I just think that's really important.
Same. I've got a new listing that I'm in counters with 2 offers. It's a little condo in West Hollywood. I priced it at 700, and I've got 2 a little over asking in the first week. But I'll tell you what's happening, because they're buying, and we've just got an accepted offer in Marina Del Rey. But my client, while I was doing that, was going around to all, to look to buy around Santa Monica around the $1 million mark. Every single agent called me because she writes my name in, what's happening because they don't have buyers. So, because they said your client came in, is she going to write an offer? So I've never had that before.
Yeah, so just don't freak out. If you think you have a good product and you're at a good price, don't jump right away to we need to reduce the price. Like I said, I was going to counsel my client and he was fine with pulling it and then putting it back on after Labor Day. That's why they look to us for advice.
Well, I still go with the philosophy of a little bit under market because, I'm getting offers over, and the one that we just opened escrow on for her, they kept reducing.
Right.
And, and now they've got activity, and my client wrote and got accepted, so it's got to, like we're saying, it's got to be the price that's right. By the way, remember I said that we wrote an offer on a $3 million property at 2.4. Guess what? It went on the market at 2.4. It closed at 3.4. $1 million over.
Wow.
La Vita in Echo Park. $1 million over.
Wow, in Echo Park.
Echo Park. Wow.
I know. Look it up. It's La Vita Terrace. I knew it was under market, but $1 million over it went for.
Wow.
It's just, yeah. I mean, and there's always those particular situations like that. And I think also too, although a seller doesn't care, about a buyer situation and vice versa, but the seller, when you see that price and then what their mortgage payment's going to be, what they're thinking, and then of course property taxes and HOA if it's condo or whatever, all of that factors in, and then maybe it should be a little under market because then it's easier than if it was right at market. And when rates go down, we know things will sell for higher as well because then it's going to be a bidding war and everything. Laura and Lisa, any movement on your listing?
No, we're gonna probably we do need a price reduction, and I think our bubble burst because we all had a little high, sellers included had higher expectations. So just getting them ready to sign a modification of price, but just giving them another week.
Yeah, and sometimes you do have to back a price reduction. And I will say this, and some of you know this, and some of you may not. Whatever price reduction it is, it can't just be a price reduction. I get so irritated when I see some things dropped for what X amount, and I'm not going to say the amount because in certain markets that is significant. But I learned a long time ago that if the amount is not enough to get somebody to write an offer, then you can't reduce that amount. So it's got to be significant enough that someone would say, okay, now I'm going to write an offer because they're more realistic on their price. And yes, they're probably going to try to come even under that as well. But you can't blame them because it's just still sitting there and got reduced. But it just amazes me. Some people take price reductions of hardly anything, and yes, it refreshes it and comes back up on the market. But people aren't stupid, But I think it's interesting. It's the whole strategy and everything. So, and Wendy, you're talking about your condo on Palm, right? The 2-bedroom on Palm.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, the more I, am there, it's really good buying. So, well, I've got 2 people. By the way, one's a 1031 exchange, and we're doing a 1031 exchange. So, investors are coming back in. So, there was something else I was going to mention, guys. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I can't stand it when people put a deadline on a listing within, less than 7 days. And just an example, one that my buyer is looking, she's looking around the $1 million mark in Santa Monica. I went and looked at a property and the deadline was basically 2 days later. So I didn't even send it to her because, she was not quite ready and I didn't want to put her under that pressure. Well, it's still on the market. And that's a month later. And now they're calling us because she did go look at it, but we wrote on something else. But, don't put deadlines within a week. It's ridiculous.
Or don't forget to remove your deadline if it's possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Then you look like really.
Didn't sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, only thing is if you just know it's really hot for sure. You've already got 2 or 3 offers immediately, and you're going to do something. Then maybe that, but I think there's nothing wrong with just say write an offer. I'll put it in front of the seller, and then when
That's
it comes
what-
in,
yeah.
then you can have your dialogue back with the agent. Oh, we've still got some more showings. The seller wants some breathing room, all those things, and a buyer will just say, okay. They're not going to say no, forget it, go on. If they really want it.
Well,
So,
that's what
yeah,
I
this
said
is
on
not-
Palm. I said, we're taking offers as they come in. If it's good enough, it'll take it off the market. I think Lisa's had her hand up this whole
I was
time.
going to say yes, Lisa. I see your hand up. Yes.
Hey guys, it's been a minute. So I'm a newer agent. Hasn't even been a whole year, or maybe July is my anniversary with EXP, but so I've been in lease land. My first 2 transactions last year. I have a new lease client again, only because I was at a pool party and I just said the words, "Oh yeah, I'm an expert in the leasing." And they're like, "Oh wow." So one of the things I've noticed in going on the MLS is there's a ton of crap for high-end leasing. So that because a lot of these people who can't sell or aren't selling are turning to, I'm assuming, leasing for a period of time so that they don't have to carry the costs. But one of the things that I've come up against is people just, I don't know what it's going on with agents. And I'm asking if you guys have the same experience. They just don't get back to you. Like I call, I email, I want a showing, I want to show your property. And they're like, they don't respond. This one guy, it's near me, even has a lockbox, and he says, "Put your DRE number." They don't even want to answer the phone. "Put your DRE number in an email, and I'll give you the lockbox code." Well, I have emailed twice, so I just don't know what's going on. I didn't know if anybody else had that same experience with.
What area is
guy.
it?
Studio City.
Oh. I heard from a colleague who was looking for a lease client somewhere out past City Terrace, but higher end, 10, 12 grand a month. And he said the same thing, but he found out what was happening is these were newer agents that weren't getting any work. And so what they were doing is putting these lease listings up to try and attract clients, to try and get clients from them, but really not answering the lease end of it. Kind of a bizarre thing, but I'm not saying Studio City, I don't see that happening.
Oh, well, they're my clients are the anyway, the ones who want to lease, and I'm
Right.
looking everywhere from Sherman Oaks all the way to Echo Park.
That is
But
weird.
kind of off the 101, they want to be in the hills. I mean, they've got certain parameters. They want a pool, they want 4 bedrooms, but 9,000 is their cap.
But that's still a good amount of money that someone wouldn't be answering your
I know.
calls.
Yeah. So
I think it's important to follow whatever somebody wants. If they say do this, and that's what you're doing, because I know some people are like, I do it this way or whatever. I'm like, well, that's not the way most people do it. So you're doing that. It could be they're not getting your email. I'm not defending them, but I know that emails do have problems, and sometimes people get so many and they miss them and they don't know how to put them in folders or flag. They don't know your address because you're brand new, so they can't do a VIP or whatever. But if you I'd say if within at the end of a day, if you've emailed them in the morning and by the end of the day, evening, they haven't responded, or the next morning, and depending on how fast you try to get them in, then go to something else, and that would be texting them, or you could, if they're an office, you could call the office and ask them to leave a message and do different things like that. Because an email they may not be getting. So I know sometimes I don't get emails that people say they sent. So
okay.
But yeah, in general, a lot of agents are very lax, especially in Palm Springs. A lot of agents don't ever get back to anybody or call them, and it's I would say you can be a great agent there and everywhere, basically, if you just do the common basic steps.
I think I'm gonna honestly, it may not be the right thing to do, but because that's my history is so far leases is while this market is crazy, again, newer agents, usually a buyer's agent, NAR and all the paperwork and all that seems a lot right now until it settles down. But everybody who's looking to lease is going on Zillow and they're not represented. And they still need, especially on the high end, people to handle all the paperwork, which I'll send to Chris.
Yeah, so
but-
that's a matter of getting it out to your sphere of influence. And because if you don't tell them one time, they certainly don't know. And if you don't tell them enough times, people are bombarded with stuff all throughout the day and they forget people are in, or realtors or whatever. And I love the story. Eve, we talked about, her friend called her and said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that, I forgot you're a realtor." And she said, "Oh, what'd you buy?" And she goes, "Well, the Zillow agent." And it was a $4 million beach property, So, and so you just 4.3. Yeah. So my point is, you just got to keep reminding them of all these things. And, and we send, monthly, our email, our magazine on email, and then that covers up to 1,000, and then we send the print magazine to our past clients and our sphere of influence and our people we're working with, and birthday cards and anniversary cards, and just boom, boom, boom. You just got to keep doing it, and then of course social media and all of that. But it's so important, and agents, I'd say 90% of agents don't even do it, and then they wonder why they don't have business. In my opinion. But I find you can just, when you start telling people you're a realtor, they're going to latch onto you, and they're going to want to know more information. And that's why you need to be up on your market and reading things and watching things and attending stuff like this to hear other things. Anyone else have any comments to add in?
I would just say, Lisa, what I do if I don't get an answer is in a nice way, like the third time, if I haven't got anything, "Oh, I've been trying to contact you. Is there someone else in your office I should be talking to about this listing?" Every time I say that, I get an answer, because they're like, "Ooh, someone else." So try that.
Yeah.
Great
And we
advice,
have
thank
a
you.
new lease that just went on just a few days ago, and I think we've had one showing. Is that right, Doug? Chris?
Wait,
Yeah.
does it have a
And-
pool? Where is it?
It doesn't. I was going to say we can send it to you, but it doesn't have a pool. It's in Angelino Heights. It's a great old craftsman 4-bedroom. It's built in 1905. It's a great house, but there's no pool.
What's the price? Let me see.
It's listed for $99.50.
Hmm.
But we've had one showing, so we started at 12 and then we dropped to 10.4. Now we're at $99.50, so we're getting closer.
4-bedroom
Yeah,
craftsman.
and just a couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, we had some leases, and they were flying out the door and going for 1,000 a month over or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so completely different.
I've noticed the lease prices are coming down as well. I mean,
Yeah.
things. So, yeah. But yeah, send that to me, because who knows? Maybe if they see something they love and there's no pool, they'll figure it out.
So
Chris,
I have
maybe-
a
Angelino
question.
Heights. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I have a question. I think, Lisa, you may have asked this, and I can't remember if we found out the answer or whatever. Are we using the buyer broker? No, it's not buyer, but a client broker agreement on leases, because that's still a commission that's
We have to in
being
Virginia.
paid.
We have to.
You have to in Virginia?
Yes.
Okay. Any other
Yeah.
states?
Somebody
and
suggested
we
I go
always
to
use
the EXP world and ask that of the California, which I hadn't had a chance to do. I figured, let me just get this one closed before it's mandatory, because they are still, putting on the MLS, the commission. So
I would say this. I would not wait and get this closed thinking it's August 17th, because if your client starts talking to another person that may be even a closer friend than you are, that person could wrap them into that agreement if there is one. So, it really protects you, and makes them feel more connected to you. So I would get it if it's, to protect you. Otherwise you could find yourself in a different situation. But I don't know if it's required or not. That was my point. But apparently it is. And then Ray, I know you sent me a great text yesterday about the EXP agreement was much nicer than another one.
Yeah.
Was that from publication?
It was it was from a publication. I think it was from Inman. It was a third-party company. I can't remember, American Federation of something, but they're an oversight group that's very well respected. and they were raking Carr over the coals for their updated buyer's agreement and listing agreement, but they complimented EXP's version of the buyer agreement as one of the better ones that they've seen, which I thought was nice to read.
So meaning maybe it was more simple to understand.
We're not
met more
allowed
of-
to. Oh,
Few pages.
It met more of their criteria. Yeah, it's simple to understand, in English, not in lawyerese, protected everybody. I mean, they liked everything about it. So it's good to read that in the press.
We're not allowed to use it in Virginia. It doesn't,
No?
it doesn't meet
Okay.
the Virginia standards.
Okay.
I'm
So-
using it for the first time. I have a call right after this, and you just easily find it on SkySlope forms. And then you hit like the 9 dots, and then you pull up it for each EXP Greater Los Angeles intersection, and it's 2 pages, and it's so streamlined. And now I've learned my lesson because I got cheated on. So no more. It's a non-negotiable from here on out.
And I'm assuming EXP's 2-page version has been vetted through Carr, but I don't know.
It has to be legal for the state.
I would imagine, yeah, that it's been vetted through Carr. So I don't know why Carr hasn't adopted ours for the state.
Because
But-
it's so complicated, and it's
Yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
I got halfway through the Carr version and I'm like, this is nuts.
all
So I was
pages.
thrilled to see our 2-pager.
So can we
Yeah.
use the car one in the EXP instead of the car one in Los Angeles?
Yes.
I don't know. We can, you're saying, Laura?
Yeah, because in SkySlope, they have it all, because we're so big in EXP now, you just pick the exact form on SkySlope, Greater Los Angeles, Southern Los Angeles, but I'm on Deborah's call every Wednesday, so she step by step showed us how to get there.
That's very
Contracts,
good. Yeah.
9:30.
Deborah's
Came in the mail
call was
today.
very good. And Deborah is for the full state of California. So it doesn't matter which part that you're with the EXP group of Southern or Greater Los Angeles or whatever. I'd say probably, all 50 states, you got a lot of different rules and different ones. So Virginia definitely is a little different, but probably EXP is largest in California, Texas, and Florida. So I would think they would, at least for those 3 states, make everything, as much as they could, and then add on the other states as much as possible.
Where
Um,
where do we find this agreement? I haven't even looked into any of this yet.
The EXP agreement?
You're talking about the 2-page buyer streamline
Yeah.
one? So on SkySlope, on the top right corner, there's 9 dots. You hit on the 9 dots, and then you go to the forms, and then you search buyer, and then it'll just pop up, and you scroll through.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and remember, if you ever have a question about something, that chat line is so helpful. And I've got it I stored it in my contacts, and I just, EXP concierge, and I just send a text really quick. Yesterday I sent one, I said, this is something we want to talk about at some point, the disc profile. Kevin Stone said the other day he had taken one, and so we can now take that, and it's on our app, and it wasn't on mine. And I kept going, why can I not find this? And so I sent the thing to them, and then they told me, here it is. And then I realized I hadn't updated my app. I said, and I told them, I said, that may be the first thing you want to tell people is make sure your app is updated. But my point is that EXP concierge is really good. I guess they probably get back to you within, I've seen probably a minute or 2. I don't think, maybe 5 at the most. And they'll either answer your question or they'll connect you with somebody and have them reach out and reach back to you. What else? Other things you're seeing or thinking about?
Hey Chuck,
Hey, Robert.
I'm getting a listing hopefully in September, and it's an old client, old friend. He hasn't bought or sold in a long time, and helping him get his house ready and getting the painters and landscaper company and stuff. And then he said, we need to talk about commission. And I said, well, that's a good thing. I said, I don't think he wants to. Sorry,
Sorry, guys.
you mean okay? those things he wants to pay 6%, and I said, I don't want to pay a buyer commission. I said, well, I will do it for 5%, and I said, but we need to talk about it. And I think he's thinking because of all this precedent we had that he doesn't have to pay the buyer. I agree he doesn't have to, but he limits his ability for exposure and getting people to show it. Is anybody else having this conversation coming up about this, and some tips? Chuck, you're gonna go with me or somebody when I have a conversation, because I'm so slow. I what I want to say, but it's not coming out correctly. But what does anybody have an issue with that? With buy our sellers saying, I don't want to pay. I don't have to pay now. Does buyers commission? Anybody?
Robert, I'll raise I'll speak on
Yeah.
that because I
Good.
probably have been doing that for 21 years. First of all, if he wants to pay you 6%, you should not reduce what you're going to take in. Okay. If he wants to pay you 6%, let him pay 6%. It is not up for you or the seller to decide what the buyer agent makes. That's the whole reason for these buyer broker agreements. I have never not, well, except twice, I have never not used a buyer broker agreement. And the two times I didn't use it, I got burned on both ones. Okay. Somebody else stole my client and sold them a house and I couldn't collect. So if he wants to pay 6% and wants all that money to go to you, don't reduce what you're going to take. Cost is only an issue with the absence of value. And if you show him why you're worth 6%, that's great. Whatever you do for your marketing, but it's not for him or for you to decide what the buyer is going to make. And you actually cannot say that you will be at an unfair advantage if you don't offer a commission. That goes against the Sherman antitrust, totally, 100%. So you basically say, would you like to pay anything out to the buyer? And the conversation then can start. And do you think I should? It's not up to me. It's up to you. I've had people that have paid $500 out and it didn't stop from selling the house. I just listed a house and I told you I got nine offers on it. And my seller said, I only want to pay 1.5. I listed one today and that seller said, I want to pay the buyer 2%. I said, fine.
Well,
So
he went, wasn't the 6%, and I said we can do it for 5%. And then he says, I don't think I want to pay anything like that. Maybe I will go to Redfin and bring you in. I said, it doesn't work that way. And we need to have a conversation. So I'm going to go at the end of the month and we're going to have to little chat about this, because
you have to determine what you charge. Okay. So, Chris, he's been taking a couple of classes with me and he knows, kind of like how I work. And I will go into a listing appointment. And then I'll be honest with you, if I think the people are going to be a pain in the ass or they're going to want to overlist their house price, that it won't be within my 2 to 5% margin over or above, you know what? I'll go in there and I'll tell them that I charge 5% for me. Okay. And then I ask them if they'd like to pay out anything to the buyer. And if they say yes, they say yes. And if they say no, they say no. If they say yes, I ask them, what would you like to pay out to the buyer? If they're, and sometimes I'll go in and say, usually I charge 5%, but you know what, if you list your house with me today, I can reduce that to 4%. Okay. It's how I make money. It's how I put food on the table for my family. I'm not going to undersell myself. Yesterday I had a really nice conversation with a woman that I'm coaching, and some of this stuff she never heard of. I was telling her about different things with the buyer broker agreement. And I said to her, listen, what is it that you do know about the buyer broker agreement? I think that's where you all have to start, is what do you do know about it? Okay. And if you have not been using it, like to hear people say, do I do it on a lease? Yeah, you do it on a lease. Because you know what? Sometimes leases don't pay out. Well, you know what? I don't know about the rest of you that are selling $1 million properties. I sold one in my whole career, and it was to my son. And I had to give him back his commission, right? But because we don't have $1 million, I mean, we do have a couple of $1 million properties in Rochester, but you know what? I don't like to work for free. I don't know about the rest of you, but I surely am not going to work for free. And I will get whatever I can on a property. Had a conversation with this woman yesterday about this, and she said, wow, this is a whole new world. And she says, this is crazy that all this is just starting. No, this has always been like that, people. You have got to create what your value proposition is. If you go in there with a couple of pieces of paper and say, the commission is 6%, I pay out 3%. No, you can't do that. You never could do that. So it's a whole new language for many of you that have just been going in and saying, the standard commission. There is no standard commission. Commission has always been negotiable. There's no such thing as a discount broker. Somebody might call another party a discount broker because they're not seeing the money that they want to see come in. But a discount broker is just a person who's established what they are going to accept on their behalf, or a flat fee broker. A flat fee broker, it just means that broker has established what they are going to charge as their commission. You see these people, I'll list your house for $2,000. Well, I'm probably not out there, but over here we do. $2,000 flat fee. No such thing as a flat fee broker. It's just that agent has established that is what they are willing to take to list the house. I won't do that. Okay, I think I told you, I listed a $15,000 house, and I told the seller my fee is $5,000 to sell that $15,000 house. You think I'm going to take 3% of $15,000 and work my ass off to try to get a house sold? No freaking way. 5,000, yeah, I'll work my ass off a little bit, but not a lot. Okay. And then I said, and then if you'd like to pay something to the buyer, you can. Well, do I have to? No, you don't have to. How about $500? I said, fine, $500. There you go. Sign right here. So I know it sounds a little abrasive the way that I'm talking, but I have a really hard time wondering why people haven't been doing this. Because you know what, yes, I've been in the business for 21 years, but it's not a business that, that somebody said, okay, this is what I was taught. I mean, we were all taught the same thing. So start using those buyer's agency agreements now. I mean, don't wait until August 17th. It was funny yesterday when I got the 9 offers. 2 of them came with buyer brokers agreements, and they both said 3%. So I called up the agent and I said, why are you sending me this buyer broker agreement? Are you expecting my client to pay you 3%? No, our brokerage is just now telling us that we should start doing that so that people see that we are collecting X amount of dollars from our client, and that the differences will be from, what the seller is willing to pay out. I said, that's great. I said, but you know what? August isn't here yet. And NAR could change that by then too, but there's no reason why you all can't do buyer agency agreements the minute you work with a client. It's like having a listing contract. Okay, I'm done.
I love it, and I love because I think everybody realizes and agrees she comes from a place of confidence, and like, this is what I'm worth, and I'm not working for anything less. And I think that's great. And I know also too, because I've been there as well, you're like, oh, I don't have anything right now, and I got to have something. And that's why, and people, I'd see agents over the years say, I don't do leases because they don't pay very much. Well, if they paid whatever they paid, that money was, something you needed to pay a bill or something. So, I will work out whatever situation there is. But, with Debbie, she has her minimum, her standard, and respects her time. And I think that's what I love about the buyer broker agreement now, is people are more established on what they're going to do, and thankfully it's forced. We have to do it because it's been around for years, and obviously you've used it, Debbie, but most of us haven't. So the reason why I didn't use it over the years is because I was always working with my friends and family, basically, or not family, but friends and everything. So I never felt the need of it, but it was, definitely there and very good, obviously. Anyone
So
have any questions? Oh, go ahead.
You just have to remember, it is standards over feelings, right? You can't put your feelings into this. I can remember, this is a long time ago. We went to go list a friend of my husband's, and my husband said, after I did this is what I charge, blah, 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 blah. My husband said, and we're waiving the transaction fee. And the guy said, well, what's your transaction fee? And he said, well, Jim says it's $5.95, but I'm just going to wait. We're going to waive that for you. And I looked at my husband. I said, we don't. And I looked at his friend. I said, his name was Jim also. I said, we don't have a transaction fee. And we all laughed. Right. And then the next appointment that I went on, I'm like, why don't I have a transaction fee? It's more money in my pocket. So the next appointment I went to, I said, here's what my commission is. And I have a $5.95 transaction fee. What's a transaction fee? It's the cost of doing business. Okay. Most people don't even open their eyes or say anything when I say I have a transaction fee. Sometimes I'll be really nice. I said, you know what? If you list with me tonight, if you sign the paperwork, I can cut the transaction fee in half. Why do I do a transaction fee? It's a way I can make more money.
Yeah,
I'm all about
absolutely.
making money, people.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that I've seen that go with people with paying, their transaction coordinator or whatever marketing cost, and when you're doing a lot of transactions, that does add up. And then you're right, you can use it as a negotiating tool. If you listen to me today, I'm cutting that in half. I love that. You're so good. I learn so much every time Debbie opens her mouth. That's why I love it every time she calls me. And sometimes I can't take the call, I don't see her or whatever, and she leaves me a voicemail, and I always just get so much from that. Any other questions you have about that or anything else? No hands are up. So raise your hand if you have a listing in the next 30 days. Good. Okay. And next 60 days. Good. Yeah. So, I mean, I think things are really happening. And then I will say this too. I'm seeing so much construction going on, and houses, where I am right now, in Fort Lauderdale, they're just tearing them down right and left and then building these big houses that are selling for a whole lot more. And, and when we were in New York, a friend of mine, client of mine and friend always said through the years, he goes, when you don't see the what do you call it, the cranes in New York, then there's going to be a problem and with the economy. And there are tons of cranes up in New York City. So that's all, interesting, pointing to people going on spending and we all know prices where they are, but stock market hitting all-time highs lately. It's just interesting. So there's so much going on, but I think what we all need to remember is people are going to buy and sell with or without you. It's a lot better to have them sell or buy with you. And like Debbie says, she doesn't do many $1 million properties, but I remember when I first got in the business and this guy, Ron DeSalvo, was talking about this house he was selling in Malibu. It was $5 million. This was like 2000. And I went up to him after the meeting. I was, pretty much brand new. And I said, I would love to have a $5 million listing. How did you get that? And he looked me in the eyes and he said, I'd rather have 10 $500,000 listings than one $5 million. And I'm like, why? And he said, because when that 5 million falls out of escrow or cancels or doesn't go through, that's all your money. But if you've got 10 $500,000 listings and one falls out, you've still got 9 others going, So every price is important, and go get it. So I really would appreciate if y'all would let me know if there's any certain topics you want to go over or people I can bring in. A couple of things I'm thinking is I'd like to bring in somebody to talk about tax deductions and strategies and how to maximize that, and certain things, like if you want to be a LLC or just the deductions that and strategies that we should be taking. So I'd like to bring in somebody on that. And then also too, I think I'd like to bring in someone about the self-directed IRAs, where you can take your IRA and actually put it into another kind of IRA called a self-directed IRA, and that can buy property. I was eating Thursday night with two friends that took me out for my birthday, and they were telling me they were starting to do flips, and and they were telling me that the money they were working with and everything. And I said, why don't you use your IRA? And they looked at me like, what? I said, yeah, self-directed IRA. They had no clue, and so those kind of conversations can help you get more business, So a lot of people don't know about that, but those are something to think about. And they, because most people have the IRA in the stock market or something, but this can be in real estate. This is something that you do for your profession. So every deal that we ever get, we should get 2 or 3 deals from it if we market it right. All right. Well, and see,
Happy birthday,
go
Chuck.
ahead.
Happy
Oh,
birthday.
thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
She called me and sang it to me the other day. Thank you. Yeah, another birthday around the sun, huh? So
Yeah, you look
anybody
amazing. You look amazing.
go on, Robert. Go on.
70.
You do.
Oh, thank you. Well, I will tell y'all a funny story real quick. We were going to see a show Friday night. I was so excited about seeing the show in New York. And we get there and we're early, and Craig says, let's take the subway. I'm like, okay, we can figure it out, whatever. And because that's always amazing to me how all that happens, especially when you got all those changes. Anyway, we get there early, we get there 30 minutes early, and I said, why is there not a line getting in? He goes, oh, we're early. I said, okay. So we go into the Marriott Hotel to maybe have a drink or something. It was too busy. So we come back out. Now it's 15 till 8, and I don't see a line. And I pull up my paper ticket that I'd printed, and I look and I go, it started at 7 o'clock.
Oh no.
Not 8 o'clock. And then I said, oh my God, I'm 62 and I'm turning into that one that just goes, because it's always been that way. It's going to be that way. And I said, I'm not looking at details. And here I paid $700 for these 2 tickets, and I'm already, we're already 45 minutes late. And I said, you know what? Just laugh about it. Let's go in. I'm sure we'll pick up, where it goes along. And we open the door, walk in, and the 2 guys are standing there, and we went, he goes, it happens every day, and I said, good. I guess this teaches me a lesson. But anyway, it was so funny. I just had to laugh it off. Wow. What are you going to do? Get mad about it? But anyway, so
Making me feel better, Chuck, because I've missed flights to vacations because I've got the day wrong.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Well, I set so many alarms on things, and then sometimes I think, oh, is this the day? Like yesterday, I thought, this call is this afternoon. I thought, no, it's just Tuesday, And I see, Lisa, you said you work with a self-directed IRA, so maybe you can send me who you've used, and we can get an expert come in and talk about it. So I think that's
Equity
a
Trust.
very smart thing. Equity Trust.
Okay. I've been with them forever, and I've gone through the process myself. It was amazing. And so your IRA essentially is the owner of the property. They title it. You don't sign anything. Your IRA custodian signs it all. What I love about it is, well, it depends on what kind of IRA, but I did this in my Roth, which, as we all know, grows tax-free. So I bought a property back in 2012 for 75 grand, a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo in Phoenix. And I sold it 6 years later, in 2018 for 169. So all of that profit, tax-free. And thank God I did that, because I've been kind of, taking a little bit here and there as I've needed it. So it was good, and I would do it again, but
good. So go ahead.
I was going to say the hard part is when you use your IRA to buy property, you cannot get a conventional mortgage. You have to, so if you're not going to buy cash, you have to go to these places that finance with hard money. And you have to have a certain amount of money stay within your IRA. So you have to balance it out. There's a lot of considerations, but it is a wonderful way to go.
Yeah, there are. And that may have changed since you did it, because I believe you can take part of, let's say you've got a IRA with 300,000 in it, and you want to take 100,000, and put in the self-directed to own the property. So then you can get a loan for the other 200 or use cash or get somebody else to do it. You could have, 2 or 3 people pooling their IRAs money and buying property. It's a rental property. It's not can't be your own personal property or anything like that. There's a lot of stipulations on it, but it's a checkbook that you get set up and then you can write the check basically. So anyway, we'll get somebody to speak on this because I think this could be another option to offer. Because as soon as I said it the other night, their eyes lit up, and then I thought, okay, these guys, are identifying the properties. They've got a great contractor behind them. Maybe I should do something with them. And so anyway, it's just another opportunity, another way to have another conversation. Anybody else? Yes, I did say Suff, like Suffrage, SUFFS. Any other thoughts? Oh, Ray, yes.
I'm just curious, how frequently do you guys do 1031 exchanges? And I'm asking because NAR's got an upcoming training for $50. It's a 3-course training on 1031 exchanges, and I don't know if that's something I should spend time on.
I'm going to tell you that you should. I'm going to tell you that you should, because it'll pop up all of a sudden. Somebody will say they want to do a 1031 exchange, and you say, oh, great, I'll send you to an attorney that knows how to do that. But at least if you have some background knowledge, I would say definitely take the course.
Yeah, it's only $50, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Douglas, have you done very many?
I've done probably 4 or 5 throughout my career. And, the first time it was just like being blind in the dark, kind of trying to figure it out. I made it through. But Ray, I would say, yeah, do it if you can. And it's inexpensive, and Debbie's right, it will come up and someone will ask you, and at least this way you can kind of know what to say.
Okay, thanks, guys.
It gives you enough background on it. What about Wendy?
Well, I'm doing one now, and I've done a few over the years. Yeah, I mean, get the basics, Ray, but basically it is quite simple once you get the basics, and really you hand it over to the 1031 exchange person. They have a person that does all the paperwork. And the challenge is you've got to sort of match the closings and buyings and things like that, and they have to be a rental property. But yeah.
I think it gives you more information. Yeah, Debbie.
Yeah. Then also, Ray, and for anybody else, it might be something that you might want to offer a class on, and then you pick up some new buyers. Oh boy, there's a great idea. How about come and learning about a 1031 exchange? You might be able to do this and not even realize that you can do this. So it's always, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better off you are, because it might just be a group of friends. We just did one with one of my son's friends. He was selling an investment property up here in Rochester, but buying a different type of investment property up here. And we did a 1031 exchange, and it was beautiful. It was very smooth transaction.
And I know there's also a partial 1031 exchange that can be done. There's a lot of opportunities with it, and people, need to move property around for different reasons. And I think it just offers you, for $50, I think it also offers you something to put on social media that you're talking about. And always too, you're going to get a lot of questions, I think, with 1031 buyers and sellers maybe that need to go back to their CPA, but at least you have an idea of like how many days you have before, after the closing, that they can put it into the next one, and how many properties they can name, which I think is like 3 or something. That would help you with all of that. And you could probably find all this out on your own, but I think sitting through a class like that, I think it would be really good. So let me know about it too, because you said it's CAR?
It's not actually. It's 3 sessions over 3 Wednesdays, unfortunately. So I'll probably miss a couple of these, but introduction to 1031 exchanges, advanced issues and structures, and assisting clients in avoiding pitfalls is the 3 courses. And it's $50.
Okay. Yeah, because I think we might be doing one soon, so I need to know more about it too. All right, any other comments?
Who's going to build it this Thursday? Okay.
Oh,
Okay, great.
Next Thursday.
Next
right?
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, next week.
That to me.
Sorry, I mean not tomorrow. I meant next Thursday.
Yeah.
I just want
There's
to see if
about
anybody wants to
20.
carpool.
Okay, there's about 20, and what we'll do is we'll send something out letting everybody know who's going. So I think there's about 20 people.
Yeah, I talked
And
to
probably
Laura about carpooling, but that's kind of like out of my way to pick up and go, and it's $40 to park. So
Yeah, Lisa,
it's
I'd be
ridiculous.
interested. I'm in where are you?
Studio City.
Yeah, well, you'd probably have to come past me. I'm in West Hollywood, just over the hill.
Oh, over the hill.
Yeah.
Okay,
on
Wendy.
Doheny. Yeah.
We'll
So
chat. Yeah.
you just, Chuck, remind me what time it starts, because I looked up briefly and I could not
Noon.
find anywhere what time it starts.
10
Noon.
or 2? Oh, is it noon?
noon.
It is noon?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
okay, good.
Yeah, noon.
And before we go, I wanted Laura and Lisa to tell real quick about these pictures that I'm seeing of what you've been doing the last 48 hours.
I was there too.
Yep.
Yes, I saw you
awesome.
commented. Yes.
Yep.
It was awesome. I needed to get my photo with Leo. He was very, very, very nice. And they were, Wendy is awesome, the CMO. And she is just a leader for just women. Thank God for her, because we needed her up on the stage as all men. Sorry, guys, plug your ears, but we need more women up there on the stage. So
She was great.
she was so good. And the food was amazing, like seafood galore. Like it was an incredible, I felt like I was at a wedding. So it was worth the extra VIP, because the whole event in the day one was just like, bar was open. It was awesome.
Well, also
That was
too,
the
it was
Horizon thing?
yes.
Yeah, it was legit.
Know
It-
about it.
And it was very intimate setting, because you know what? How many times I'm going to have an opportunity to be in a room, hear Leo speak with, just a few tables. So I appreciate the intimacy, and we had a nice opportunity to sit down. Laura and I did split a couple times tables, and so we met some San Diego agents, and
The
sort of
Sky
the-
Slope founder was
hear about
there.
the Sky Slope founder and how he got the name, and it's something that they're not going to do. It's not like going to be in the regular rotation. So that makes it even more
It
special.
was great. It was really worth it.
Yeah, I
I'm
got to
glad
meet
I
Anne
went.
in person. Nice meeting
Yeah.
you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
They serve snacks during the day too. So I'm like really big on the food and snacks. So
Let's see,
I
you're
love
big
it,
on
Laura, how
bars,
you're the
seafood,
food,
and
the
snacks.
food, the food. That's, I
Well,
tell you,
any,
funnily, sorry, I was just going to say, funnily enough, when I was a long time ago, the #1 realtor in Melbourne, working for a big development company, our sales meetings, I wouldn't come in unless they had a spread of sandwiches and cappuccinos, and they tried to stop it, but because I was the #1 making the most money.
nice.
I said,
You're a rock star.
if you don't serve cappuccinos and sandwiches, I'm not coming to the meeting.
I think it's always important to be in the room and not be the smartest person in the room. And so, if you want to, I always want to aspire to be like other people, but not like, maybe these over here or something. So to be around Leo and Wendy, that's amazing. Leo is a huge agent with a big team and everything, and he's our CEO, and he's amazing. And then Wendy, talked about the event on our call when she did it, I think back in May, and she announced the date. And she's huge too. You read her LinkedIn profile. So, to be in the room with movers and shakers and talk with them, get your picture with them, and it really will help you propel your business tremendously.
And I
And
also
then you
want
also met, are you talking about the Annette, Annette and Andrew?
No, I have another side note.
So
So
I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go first. Okay.
Okay.
So literally we met these like powerhouse husband and wife, and they're like, we have so many Zillow Flex leads that we'll give it, we'll distribute. And I'm like, well, do I need to join your team? Because I've heard that before. I have so many leads, but you gotta join my team. She's like, no, you keep your, so anyways, we're building a relationship where they'll feed me leads and I'll just give them 50% and I don't need to be on their team.
And then I just want to say a side note, Laura's agent, Darlene Williams, she just capped. So it was really exciting for her. And we're just proud of her.
She was there.
No,
but she
but
just
she's
capped
busy
yesterday.
working.
Oh, she just capped.
Yeah,
That's
that's my
great.
off topic. So just a reminder of like agent attraction, and Laura and I are going to be more
Cool.
accountable to one another too, like to say, okay, let's block the time and maybe just make the calls together, because sometimes we just have stage fright. So
Mhm.
it was
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, I'm glad y'all went. And then next Thursday is that one will be interesting to hear everybody's response on that. And then I think there's something with women I'm seeing posted, a women's seminar in Austin or something next month.
I was just gonna bring that up. It's August 19th through the 20th. It's called Women's Impact Network. I'm not really sure what it's about, but I think it would be worthwhile going. I am definitely going. And I know Elizabeth Riley called me up and asked me to speak on a panel, so I'm gonna do that. And I think it's just a great, it's just another thing that's gonna add to whatever it is that you do on a daily basis. So.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And knowing that Elizabeth's behind it, I know it's going to be good, right? And then you're going to it. It's very worthwhile. So good. All right. Well, if nothing else, we will see y'all same time next month, and if not before. And please call or text or email or whatever with any questions or thoughts, because we're always here for you. All right.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
yeah.